All right, we got to bring up everybody else before we're totally going with Tuesday morning Broncos for breakfast. A couple minutes late, but that's okay. We're
We
getting
won't
it.
make a habit of it.
We're getting it rolling. I mean, we're within the air bar of the show starting, not like 15, 30 minutes. But welcome in, guys. It is Tuesday morning, 7:30 o'clock Mountain Time, God's time, as I like to say. And welcome in, everybody. It's Broncos for breakfast. And good morning to you, Scott. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine. Good morning. I'm afraid this is going to start up. I try and keep an eye on the Facebook page at the same time so I can see the stars coming in because it's hard for us to do that. So I just started this off to my right here, and I'm watching us talk to me, and I'm afraid the sound's going to come on here. But welcome in, everybody. Game week.
It's here.
It's game week. I see CT Klee is here. We saw your super last night. Wanted to say thank you. It came in right as we were coming off the air. So just real quick, right off the bat, before I forget, I wanted to say thanks for coming in on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's say hello to everybody that's coming in here. We got DBA saying good morning, Broncos country. Good to see you, DBA. DBA, you got to let us know what your logo is there. It's probably like a band or something, but I see it and I'm like, what is that? It's cool. EJ, good morning, Nick and Scott and Broncos country. Clee's in the house as well. Clee, your name is killing me. I like the picture of the red snapper, but I don't even want to flash on the screen because somebody took a screenshot of me talking about it. It's like, Nick, they're getting you. I'm like, Clee. Scott's in here. Obviously, hello, Scott. Good to see you.
Yeah, I know that guy.
US Dave, I Am Supreme is in here. Morning, all let's go. US Dave says, yeehaw, of course. Mark Hoynak coming in here. I don't recognize you, Mark. Welcome in. Welcome in over on YouTube. 6 days to go. I'm stoked. Vinny J's in the house saying good morning, football fans. Officially football week. It was officially football week last week. We got college football. We had a lot of good games. Did you watch that Notre Dame FSU game? Man,
I did. I watched it until Notre Dame started breaking away with it, and that was a fun game.
That was fun.
The problem with the first games, and this goes for NFL and all of them, is you don't really know what you've got yet. So it's like, they could both be trash. If FSU look good, they could be better this year. Or Notre Dame isn't as good as you think. You don't know until you have a bigger sample size. But 'tis the season to overreact.
Yep. So I'm gonna just overreact. And the Iowa Hawkeyes have the best defense in college football. It's 2 pick sixes. They could have had like 3 picks and held it. Yeah, I mean it's almost unfortunate how much my Iowa Hawkeyes mimic the Denver Broncos. I think I was a little stronger in the trenches, and Denver's better in the wide receiver game, but the quarterback, big question. We'll see how far they can go. CC's in the house. Good morning, Broncos country. Jeremy Sean saying good morning, Nick and Scott. It's game week. Yes, it is. Dave Glassman. With Dave Glassman coming in here. Dave Glassman is always given stars, so thank you for the hearts and everything and all your support. Jason O'Neill. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How's everyone feeling about the first game? I'm feeling cautiously optimistic, which is not typically where I sit, which makes me even more nervous. DeAndre Witherspoon.
It's the hope that kills.
God. Broncos are good, but it's like I feel like everybody's been pooping on the Giants too much, and it's like they can't be that bad. And they have a good defense, and they're strong on the defense, where the Broncos are questionable. So we'll see. DeAndre Witherspoon, good morning, guys. It's game week. Biggie Bronco, Devine Henderson coming in here. Greg Smith is in the house too. Good morning, Nick and Scott.
Aloha.
There we go. Kyle Hamilton's not too bad. Oh man, we've talked about Kyle Hamilton on here a few times. He's like, you probably are aware what Pokemon is, but you're not like in Pokemon, I'm sure.
Right.
Weren't.
No,
I grew up with
it. I think my son traded. I don't even think he traded. He just collected cards for a little while. That's about as much as I know about it. And then why are people wandering around? People wander around looking at their phones all the time anyway. So that doesn't look that strange.
But the virtual reality, I never got into the Pokemon Go, but Kyle Hamilton, he is like the evolved version as a prospect of Justin Simmons. Bigger, faster, stronger than Justin Simmons. Justin Simmons is one of the best safeties in the game. Obviously, safety is a position that's very skill-oriented, mental-oriented as well. But like for what he can do, the 2 high looks, etc., I think Kyle Hamilton, as a prospect, again, Justin Simmons was a compensatory 3rd-round pick. Kyle Hamilton's the evolved version of Justin Simmons coming out of BC. So
no, I told you I hadn't been in recruiting in a while, and it was my first year back in Georgia. And you listen to people all the time. People are always talking to you about, oh, you need to see this kid, you need to see this kid, you need to see this kid. And then you kind of keep a mental database of who you actually knows what they're talking about. So Jeff Sentell, Dog Nation, Atlanta Journal-Constitution, I was in a recruiting meeting with their staff, And he goes, look at this kid. And he was a 3-star guy across the board, Rivals, 247, et cetera. He says, watch this kid. He's at Marist. And I was like, that kid's 5 stars. Kid's 5 stars. I watched 3 minutes of him at most. That's all it took. I'm like, that'll be a 5-star kid. It was, summer. I said, by the end of the year, he'll be 5 stars. Yeah, he was. He was legit. And I credit Jeff, and I will do it again on Twitter at one point, just to say, Jeff was way out ahead of this kid, despite the fact that he's writing for a Georgia publication. We care about our boys in Georgia when we're, when we live here. It doesn't matter. We care. We track our Georgia high school boys. You guys hear me say it all the time. I remember all of them that make it. So that was a good call by Jeff. Kyle Hamilton's big time.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a lot of fun. Good. We got Peter Middleton coming in. Good morning from Cambodia. It's Broncos week. Des with the Hearts coming in. DeAndre Weatherspoon, the regular season upon us. 5 days to go. Question: what are your expectations for this season? Scott, I think Thursday would be a good day to run through the schedule one more time and kind of give our season prediction now that we've gathered a lot more information, not just on the Broncos, but all the teams that they're playing as well. So does that sound like a plan?
For sure. I want to hit on Peter's question again too. Happy with the choice of team captains, much different from last year. I think permanent team captains make sense. I also think it makes sense to have the team vote on it. The team captain, those are your team leaders. You don't want it to be seen as a teacher's pet, as the hall monitor out there. You want it to be the guys that you see as a team leaders. The only question I might have is, why so many? Maybe one offense, maybe one defense, maybe one wild card, not 6. So however many that was, it may have been even more than 6, but that was a bunch. But Peter, thanks for the support and the question, and we can dive back into that a little bit later too.
Absolutely, that's a good call on the team captains. So happy for Teddy Bridgewater. I was looking for a graphic. I'll find it at some point here. We can get into it as well. And DBA, thank you. They're called the Hieroglyphics. It's a band. So there you go. When you said it's just hieroglyphics, I'm like, that doesn't mean much. Hieroglyphics mean something. It's like, this is a word, Nick. Oh, okay. But we got Jason O'Neill saying, I feel the exact same way, Nick. Hopefully the coaches throw away the vanilla playbook. Probably talking about the Hawkeyes there. Jason O'Neill, over under. Teddy throws 5 passes for 40+ yards. Over. You're saying over.
17 games. Over.
Is that air yards or total yards? That's the question.
Total yards. Long reception. Can be a screen pass that goes for 80. That's a 40-yard pass.
That counts. Okay.
Yep.
Not the air yards one. So we got Jason.
Well, and here's the other part. Jason doesn't actually say they have to be completed, so he'll throw a couple 40 yards down the field.
Oh, for sure. Some lofty boys. Joseph T. Fisher coming in. Good morning. Let's go with Broncos. Karaoke Chris is also in the house. Top of the morning, gents. Getting pumped for an exciting Broncos season. Michael Ronquillo. Good morning, Nick and Scott. And Broncos for breakfast. And Greg Smith. And Broncos country. And everyone, say hi to my dog next time, Michael. And go Broncos. Thank you very much, Michael. We also got Joey Thomas coming in. Hey guys. JT from Twitter, do you think the news about Locke and the other quarterbacks purposely broken protocol leading to Hinton playing the Saints was a massive player in the quarterback decision for the season? The fact they tried to lie about it too, complete trust breakdown. Jay, we're going to get into that here in a second. Cole Justin, most teams in the NFL have 6 captains. We got Raymond Glass coming in with the super sticker over on YouTube. Thank you so much.
It's a working out sky blue hippopotamus. So I'm checking the stuff out. I'm learning my way around here now. So when I see the super stickers come in, I'm jumping onto YouTube and checking it out. Appreciate it, Raymond.
Well, awesome.
I don't remember asking Raymond his team. If he's throwing a Euro up there, he's a football, a soccer football fan too. So I have to comment who your team is.
Absolutely. And I finally found the link of the Broncos captains. We'll save that for now. We got to get into the matters of business. Guys, this is Broncos for breakfast. Of course, you can follow Scott and myself on Twitter. You can follow Scott at Scout Kennedy and myself at Nick Kendell MHH. You can also follow us at Huddle Up Pod as well as at Mile High Huddle. If you guys are joining us on Facebook today, first off, the announcement should be coming on that Von Miller jersey winner soon, but we passed the, 500,000 stars, which is incredible. You guys are incredible. So thank you so much for that. If you guys are joining us on Facebook today, those stars still count. They're very appreciated. And you can join us at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. Don't want to leave out you YouTube folks. YouTube's still the bread and butter of the show. And you guys are super helpful with your super chats, super stickers with the hippos working out, et cetera, et cetera. But if you guys can't contribute that way, that's totally fine. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share those so that way you can know when we go live. And also, if you're over on YouTube, check out Scott's channel, youtube.com/C/Scott Kennedy. I do not see the link in the chat there, but we'll drop it at some point for Scott to.
We'll do that towards the end. I think we've fished this pond.
Absolutely. Hey, I did some fishing yesterday, and you got to go back to the spot at some point. You spook them, and you're like, okay, here it is again. Let me present it a little differently. And Clee, you're gonna make me flash you. With Clee with the super sticker with the
red. He's offering up some coffee too, along with a sticker. So
I need it. I am so
offering. Appreciate that. Broncos for breakfast.
I was telling Scott this morning. I woke up yesterday at 2 a.m. to drive to go to the hike because it was 14 miles, 4K elevation gain, and he's like, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I woke up at 2 a.m. and walked to the bathroom and came back. I think it's a right brain trait. I don't know how many of y'all can do this, but I can like wake up and know what time it is within 3 minutes. And I've heard that's a right brain. I was like, feels like about 2 o'clock. I was off about this when it was 1:54. I'm like, okay, that's good.
I have it where I'm like, God, I hope it's not 5:30 a.m. yet.
I used to think that was great. I used to wake up every hour and be like, okay, good, it's only 3. Okay, good, it's only 4. Okay, good, it's only 5. And then you'd wake up at 7 and be like, why am I so tired?
Not what you want.
Couldn't sleep worth a damn. That's why.
And we got Karaoke Chris coming in here with the super sticker. Over
it's a super sticker Saturday. Sunglasses. Happy face with sunglasses from Karaoke Chris.
There we go. Thank you very much, Chris. That we appreciate that. And I say let's get into what who was it? Somebody had the comment about Jay Thomas with the Broncos and what's going on with Drew Lock, or what happened with Drew Lock in the I guess when they got in trouble and Kendall Hinton had to play. So I'm going to pull up the blurb right here from the LA Times. This was in the LA Times, I believe, this morning. And this came out, and I don't want to flex on you guys too much. That's not what I want to say, but I've known about this since probably December last year. And I was told that if this got out because of me, I would lose all contact with this person. So I sat on it. I was like, yeah, that's very juicy information, but I am not going to.
Before you get into it, there's a phrase I use in this. I'm like, listen, you can think I'm a weasel or whatnot, but think of me as a selfish weasel. There's not any one thing you could tell me that is worth you never talking to me again. So just purely out of self-interest, you can trust me.
Yep, exactly. So that was, and I probably did influence a little bit with the quarterback decision, and when it comes to more so the maturity and decision making and leadership. But the clip right here from the LA Times saying John Elway, Denver's president of football operation, made several frustrated pleas to Goodell to postpone the Sunday game until Tuesday when the quarterbacks would be available. The league denied those requests because surveillance video from Denver's facility showed the quarterbacks had tried to fool the system. They had removed their contact tracing devices, and this is after they had already been close together, and put them in 4 corners of the meeting room. Then they sat together to watch film. That close contact automatically made them ineligible to play. And anybody who's old enough to know what's going on with Watergate historically and whatnot, sometimes it's the cover-up is worse than the crime. So not great, obviously. Question marks there, but you don't love that.
No, I mean, to talk about, look, the thing of the steroid issue, when it went through, the people who said, yeah, I did it, I'm sorry, you don't even remember who they were. The people that covered it up and lied about it, then it's a story. Because frankly, I don't know. I don't want to get demonetized, so I'm not going to talk about how silly this all is. With what this specific story is about. So I'm going to move on.
Yeah. Well, I'll go a little bit on it. Just, it's, you knew
rules
the
rules. Are rules. You know the rules. So
you knew the rules.
In 5 years of college, I learned one important lesson. Doesn't matter what I think. It matters what the guy giving the grade thinks or the guy writing the check thinks. And the guy writing the check makes the rules. You got to follow them. Otherwise, he might not write you a check any longer.
Yeah, and it also, unfortunately, put the Broncos in a really, really bad situation, right? That was a not very well thought through decision. And Broncos, luckily, I guess, they played Kim Hinton, and that was just terrible football. Luckily, because of it, nobody got hurt or anything like that. But yeah, I don't know. That's and I can also say now that this is out that that was something that really, really upset the old ball coach. As well, because it put him in a terrible spot when this team knew that they needed to get wins, because otherwise you might not be there. So don't put yourself and your team in harm's way if you can help it. So that's the reason that game wasn't bumped back. It's because the Broncos tried to cover it up and they got punished extra hard because of it. But we can move on. I do also have the graphic now of the Broncos team captains. If we kind of want to get into that as well, I do think that's an interesting conversation. And also thank you very much for the Broncos NFL media people for putting together this nice graphic. So we got Teddy Bridgewater named captain. That's great to see. I do have a question for you about that as it changes. Kareem Jackson, Brandon McManus, Von Miller, Justin Simmons, and Cortland Sutton. So any surprises here? Anybody that you think maybe should have been listed that wasn't, or anything? Anybody stick out?
For me, the surprise, and I don't know how much he'd been in the past, but Cortland Sutton. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it for the rest of my life. Cortland Sutton. He's young and he's coming off an injury. So what that tells me is that he never gave up. He was a positive influence all last year, working out, doing the right things, busting his ass, setting a good example to get back out there. Mm-hmm. And his teammates recognized it and rewarded him for it. So I think that one is as positive as you can possibly think. And then on the Teddy Bridgewater, real quick, because I'm sure we'll get into this a little bit more. When we were talking about, this is a Fangio thing and all the comments and stuff, I'm like, who doesn't care about rebuilds and who doesn't care about any of that stuff? The players. The players don't. If they weren't comfortable with Teddy Bridgewater being their quarterback, you'd know. You would absolutely know. So, this isn't just a one-person decision going against the grain. This is a team decision. You got to have the backing of your veterans, and it looks like they did.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think this is good. There is one veteran here that wasn't picked that I am surprised about, given the contract and what the people have been saying about him in preseason as far as accountability and leadership, and that's Garrett Bowles.
You know who else isn't there?
Who?
Who's he been fighting with all?
Bradley Chubb. Yeah.
who's he been fighting with all preseason? You each just lost the offense and the defense.
Yep. I totally get it with Chubb not getting it. He's a top 5 pick, but he also has not gotten that second contract yet. And I think that carries a little bit of weight in the locker room. And Garrett Bowles did just get paid. So, and also when you're looking to balance offense and defense, picking Cortland Sutton over Garrett Bowles is the one where I'm like, okay. I mean, not that Cortland Sutton's doing anything wrong. It's just he's obviously coming off the injury, has a lot to prove with that, and has yet to get that second big contract, which kind of changes the dynamics in the locker room where, like, this guy's made it in the league. We know what he is, and the Broncos liked him enough to retain him. So that's good. But, I mean, I also think it's a positive because that shows what they still think of Cortland Sutton, even though it's kind of a slow road back. Driving in that school zone back to full recovery. This team really respects Sutton and expects him to be a big part of this team this season. So happy to see that. And also, I mean, if you listen to a Cortland Sutton press conference, there's not many people who speak better than him. I mean, he's obviously a super intelligent, mature young man. So the other one that I want to kind of get in is Teddy Bridgewater being named a captain. Not shocking considering how much they talk about people levitating towards him, him winning the job. But does this mean anything one way or the other when it comes to potentially benching Teddy Bridgewater? Like, is this like, they might give him a little bit more of a leash than originally thought because he's already a team captain? That really just shows how much they really like him in that locker room.
Yeah, and I think it helps validate your decision as a coach. When you're thinking, okay, am I going to have the backing of the dressing room? I'm pretty sure the answer to that before you name your starter. Mm-hmm. But this just helps validate your decision when you're the coach and you make this decision and then they vote Drew Lock a team captain, you're like, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. I got a dressing room problem now. But when you name Teddy Bridgewater the starter, and he's not making that decision blindly. He knows these things. It's something we talked about from the very beginning is veterans don't care about rebuilding. That's a word they don't want to hear. You don't say it around, no matter how much we all might say it and know it. They want to win now, and they want the best player on the field. And if they're not going to get the best player on the field, you're going to hear about it.
Yeah, nope, absolutely. That there's those dynamics as well. And it's for the coaches as well, right? And like the guys are on the 1-year timeline. I mean, if you are out here playing a worse quarterback in a year where Tim Patrick and Cortland Sutton are looking to cash in, that's going to lead to issues.
Yeah, about the only time you can rebuild is first-year contract. And, it's like, listen, if you fire me, you're going to pay me $20 million. I don't have to ever work again. That's fine. But when you're at the end of a contract and you're coaching for your next contract, whether it be here or there, rebuild and development isn't going to do you a whole lot of favors.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. Trevor Sandoval coming in saying, good morning, fellas. Let them hate with the 5 sides. It's hard to read without the E's. We also got Dave Glassman coming back in saying once on YouTube, once on Facebook. Cheers to you, Dave. That's super nice of you. We appreciate it. Diversifying your super chat superstar portfolio. So good on you. James Grossman coming in. Good morning, everyone. So glad football season is here. Football season's been here. We had college football, but the NFL's upon us now, and really excited.
Does it ever stop? It doesn't. But yes, I get it.
I feel like there are a few weeks in like July when like rookie mini camp and stuff is going on that I'm just like, I can finally exhale.
No, it's like June and July is like the slowest period. Everything else, there's something going on that is really big time football related.
Yep, absolutely. Football they really own the calendar, right? Like the people were watching the draft more than the NBA playoffs a few years ago.
We go to Senior Bowl, we go to draft, we go to free agency, we go to OTAs, rookie contracts, mandatory minicamp. All of it it's fun. It's 10 months a year. And then you hope the other 2 months that you're staying out of the papers. You're staying out of the headlines. Because the headlines in July are all bad. They're all bad.
Unless your team is courting an Aaron Rodgers, and then you can have a little bit of fun hope there for a little bit and have some headlines and stuff to talk about that other teams are not afforded. But let's get into it. We talked about it. It's the title of the show. It is this Giants versus Broncos game opening up the season. Obviously, the Giants are a team that seems to be somewhat in disarray. There's fights going on. It's a team that's very much on the hot seat. Dave Gettleman's got to be on the hot seat as well. I mean, running back top 5, taking Andrew Thomas over Mekhi Becton, Tristan Wirfs, Jedrick Wills, the quarterback situation. They're one of the teams who decided to go in on a quarterback in that 2019 draft, which is probably the worst quarterback draft in the last 5 years. So you don't want to take a quarterback in the wrong year if you're picking early or taking one early. So this Giants team, what are your initial thoughts entering game week?
Well, they're not great at quarterback, and their running back's banged up. Okay. So it's their weakness going against the Broncos' strength right now. This could be a very low-scoring game, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. Let them make mistakes. I said, let's channel some Top Gun here and talk about being Iceman. You don't have to. You can play conservatively and get a W in this game. This isn't going to be about style points. This is play the New York Giants, start 1-0, build from there. And this team, let the Giants beat themselves because they can. Daniel Jones shouldn't beat you with his arm, and Saquon Barkley might, but a running back by himself, that's not a recipe for a lot of wins. I grew up with Gerald Riggs and William Andrews. They were fantastic. The Falcons were a 333 winning percentage team in the 80s. So it's going to take a lot more to it. And I don't know that the Giants have it.
Yeah, they're very much a team that I think mimics the Denver Broncos on paper. Some of their strengths and weaknesses. I do think that the Giants' weaknesses are more gaping than the Broncos have. But when the Broncos were, fielding this great defense, questionable third-year quarterback, how good can the offensive line be, attacking the weapons, et cetera, it very much mimicked the Broncos. The Giants obviously not lapped the Broncos, but they have a stronger interior defensive line, 2 first-round picks at the defensive tackle position. Makes a big difference, including a top 5 pick in Leonard Williams as well. But the Broncos kind of lap them up at edge rusher. And also, Giants have a good secondary, but it's not as good as the Broncos is on paper, at least. So, it's going to be a good one. We got Dinger Dave 88 coming in over on Twitch saying, hey, from Scotland, looking forward to the season starting. Scott, you got any Scotland soccer to talk about?
No, Rangers. There's usually 2 teams, Celtic or Rangers. I think if you're over in that area, so he's probably a fan of one of the other. It's like talking to someone from Alabama. They're either an Auburn or an Alabama fan. It's those are the 2 big ones. He may like somebody else though. But welcome. Appreciate you checking in on Twitch. I think that was right. The purple Twitch. We don't see a ton of those, so appreciate you highlighting that one. And where did I see this one? I wanted to hit up with Peter. So that's a big cup of coffee. Yes, it is. It's almost an empty cup of coffee now. And then, it was actually Peter twice. It was a perfect team to start for Teddy. No big plays needed. Needed is the key word. It doesn't mean they won't happen. We got into this a little bit last night as I was watching the Huddle Up pod talking about play action. Play action, and it was driving me crazy because people were talking about play action like it's predicated on a long pass. Play action is predicated on the running game. You run 7 yards on first down, play action opens up. If you've got success on first down and you're in second and short, third and short, play action opens up. There isn't a quarterback in this league that can't throw the ball 50 yards. Not a one. So if you're getting the running game going, the play action, big plays will happen. You don't necessarily need them. You can beat this team 10-3. Who did we just watch? Georgia and Clemson? There's one touchdown in this game. It could be a slugfest like that. Wouldn't be totally surprising. I don't think it will be. I mean, 10-3 is pretty hard to predict. But you don't need the big plays to beat the Giants. That doesn't mean they won't happen.
Yep. No, absolutely. And we've seen this Giants team. Daniel Jones has a propensity to turn it over like crazy. And it's not just, the high end or the really boneheaded passes leading to interceptions. It's also he is pretty reckless with ball control in the pocket as well, and can very much lead to strip sacks. And I think it was you that sent me a graphic with the Broncos when Bradley Chubb and Von Miller are on the field. They just have an insane rate of forced fumbles.
Yeah, that graphic was in the game, and I did a screen capture of it, and it was like they've played at the same time, and it was like 3 times the sacks and turnovers when they're playing at the same time, and they haven't played that much together. So that's just how much more effective they are. So, we've talked about this before, and welcome to anybody new coming in. We've got a lot of new faces as the show keeps growing. So I apologize to those that have to hear me say the same thing a few times, but I can't wait to watch Chubb and Von Miller together. And you know what else is now exciting about this, Nick? Is if Chubb's a little dinged, which he might be, well, I'm looking forward to seeing Jonathan Cooper come off the edge now too. He had a heck of a preseason.
Yeah, no, Jonathan Cooper should be a lot of fun. I felt like Shelby Harris was kind of playing veteran, protect himself mode in preseason as well, which is fine. Nothing too fancy here. And they weren't calling
get in a game shape. That's what you're looking to do. Get in a game shape. You got nothing to prove.
Exactly. And nobody got seriously injured in that regard. So I'll take that, but I'm looking forward to that. And man, I am so excited for Draymond Jones this year. If he can be, this preseason, they talked about that guy like he was, I can't remember the last time they heaped that much hype on an interior defensive lineman in this team, talking about him being the dude. And sometimes, if Von Miller's saying something, you got to take it with a grain of salt because according to Von Miller, everybody's the best player ever. But like it was other guys who were really hyping up Draymond Jones. So should be excited to see him as well. And a shout out to Cooper. Do you think, here's an interesting question for you. Do you think that Cooper is the first edge rusher off the bench because of how good Malik Reed was last year?
I'd still go Malik Reed, but I think of those as second units. I think of them as basically coming in together, So I think he's worked his way into that rotation for sure. That we'll see him nearly as much. I don't know. It's tough with a rookie. With preseason, you're just not sure. But with an edge rusher, you come in. It's 3rd and 12. You got one job, kid. We're not running zone blitzes or anything where I need you to drop into coverage and try and fool somebody. It's 3rd and 12. Pin your ears back. Go get that guy with the football. That's a pretty easy job. And frankly, Cooper, he was great. He exceeded. I think he had to have exceeded everybody's wild expectations except for maybe his own, because those guys are arrogant in a good way. To make it to the NFL, you got to be. So I'm very excited to see him keep progressing, and knowing that one of the questions is backup for those guys. Can they stay healthy, et cetera, et cetera? Well, now there's even a little more depth on this very talented and deep team.
Yep, and we got Ernie Mays coming in over in Periscope, saying hello, Nick and Scott. Hello to you, Ernie. Hope you're doing well over on Periscope. I agree with you 100%. It will be interesting to see. I guess for me, the key to this game, and I think CC hit it on it pretty well, and I've talked about it already, but as far as a Broncos weakness, that could be quote-unquote weakness, but a Giant strength versus the Broncos relative weakness that could totally sabotage things is the interior defensive line duo of Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence versus the likes of Dalton Reisner, Lloyd Cushenberry, and Graham Glasgow. Now, I think Reisner and Glasgow are fine. They're both a little bit more finesse players though than power, and you're dealing with some strength and length with those two guys that can overpower almost any guard. So that's a little bit of concern. But then it's Lloyd Cushenberry. Like, you got to put on the big boy pants now, because this is outside the Washington football team. I don't think there's a better interior defensive line duo, and that can wreck things for this Broncos. Teddy can navigate a bad pocket at least, so you got that going for you. But this Broncos team, if they're going to win this game, they're going to have to run the ball at least efficiently. They don't have to be amazing, but they need to run it efficiently, and I don't know if they can with these two.
Run the ball and use your passing game as an extension of your running game. Yeah. So, you know, he gets negatively called check down Teddy. He's not going to have time to check down. You don't want him in a 7-step drop and then making those kind of decisions. He's coming down. He's going to be making a lot of decisions at the line of scrimmage. It's like, okay, I got 4 receivers here, you know, snap, bang, snap and quick hitters, and let those guys then use your slot receiver and your 2 outside receivers, bubble screens, all that kind of stuff in order to get the ball to them quickly. And that negates the interior rush, because yes, 12 sacks from a defensive tackle that's incredible. I mean, that's all pro type of stuff. So yeah, how do you neutralize him? 1, you gotta help him with a guard, and 2, you gotta get rid of the ball quickly. 3, you gotta run the ball. So 1, 2, 3. The first one, help with the guard, that's just scheme. 2, get rid of the ball quickly. Teddy does that very, very well. 3, you got to run the ball. Should be one of the strengths of this team, running backside cuts, running off tackle, et cetera, and not trying to go right up the gut.
Yeah, and I want to dig into a little bit more specific with that run game, but we want to say hello to Austin Ryder first. Good morning. Good morning to you, Austin. Good to see you. DBA coming in saying Cush needs to step it up, or it might be a short season for Teddy. So, DBA, go knock on wood somewhere or do something. We don't need to put that out into the universe. Not cheering for any injuries like that. We also have Jeremy McLeod to come in here over on YouTube, saying, I think Teddy gets off to a
hold on.
McLeod? McLeod?
How about McLeod?
McLeod? Okay.
Jeremy, who's closer, Nick or Scott with Jeremy McLeod? Anyway, continue.
You're probably right. I can never get names. Unless they are somebody who have had the phonetic pronunciation put in front of me. You're probably right. Wouldn't McLeod be a capital C then too? No, I don't know. I'm not Scottish.
Maybe I could be way off here. But Jeremy, you got to settle this one for us now.
He says, I think Jeremy M says, I think Teddy gets off to a solid start, but fades as opposing defense is key on the run and exposes lack of arm talent. And in the red zone, death by field goal. You only die by field goal if your defense is giving up touchdowns. So hopefully that won't be the case. We'll get into the run game here now. I think this is a good transition for it. So you're talking about the Broncos run game should be a strength. And I am very much a believer that run games are only as good as their offensive line. And the Broncos have the backs that if they get to the second level, good things can happen. You know, you're talking about a 5-yard gain becoming a 25-yard chunk play because Melvin Gordon is explosive. I mean, he's a strider. He can get in the open field and he covers ground easily. Javonte Williams is a bowling ball. Guys just bounce off of him. You know, I'm rubber, they're glue kind of thing. But in order for those guys to really show off their skills, and Williams, I mean, I think it was Brian Baldinger. If you haven't checked him out on Twitter, he had an amazing breakdown of Williams this preseason. But as far as those guys getting going, really the offensive line has to win some games or not lose. If they even stalemate, it should be okay. But they have to get some movement on the ground, and it's hard to really see that in preseason. And given what we've seen from the offensive line so far, especially the interior and Massey at right tackle too, run blocking has not been dominating, so to speak. So I guess I do think there's a limitation on just how good the run game can be until we see that unit get better and prove that they're not just average.
Real quick, want to say hi to Gary. Gary, thanks for the stars. Appreciate your support of all of the shows and ours especially. You know, we might be biased, doesn't mean I'm wrong. So appreciate you being here and good morning. Hello, Broncos country for Gary Leeds Palmer. Yeah. The offensive line seems to be good enough. I think these backs will run open some holes. You talk about, you know, throwing a receiver open or a receiver that's open because of his size. You know, he's always open. You've got two backs that know how to break tackles. That know how, we call it clearing the trash. When they're in traffic, they're not getting tripped up by arm tackles and stuff. So you don't need to blow massive holes open. And then the scheme, excuse me, being able to go again, quick hitters outside, keep the linebackers on their heels because they don't know if there's going to be quick slants coming in, hitting your tight ends quickly. So I think, again, the last thing that I think anybody wants to see is Teddy Bridgewater in a 7-step drop, and a lot of deep drops. I don't think we will. I think we'll move the pocket around. I think we'll see him move. The check down will be done at the line of scrimmage, not in the pocket. So
yeah.
I think this running game is going to be good. I think especially off tackles, especially off tackles, even cutbacks off tackle, student body right, and then one cut and coming back behind, the guys crashing down line. So looking forward to seeing it. I've said that a lot, but I am. It's time. We've been talking about this for 6 months already. It's football time.
It is football time, and I want to get back to the comment from earlier. Where he talked about the run game and how does this, how it impacts Teddy impacts the run game. Now we talked about Teddy making good pre-snap checks based on which side of the line of scrimmage is considered a strength of the defense versus weak, and getting that team into the best run check based on the box numbers and alignment of the defense. But there is something to be said, and we kind of saw it with the Case Keenum Broncos as well. Teams did not respect Case's arm talent. They also did not respect the Broncos receivers' depth at that point as well. Demaryius Thomas was kind of starting to not be the same at that point. And Emmanuel Sanders has been good, but he wasn't as good as the Peyton Manning years, obviously. Once they hit 30, a lot of receivers kind of, unless there was the truly incredible technicians. But we saw teams really stack the box against Case Keenum in that 2018 season. Is that a concern with you against Teddy Bridgewater? Because it seems so simple, but there is really strong correlation to box numbers being the main factor in what influences run game efficiency.
It's not a concern for me for one of the reasons you mentioned. Did Case Keenum have these weapons that Teddy's going to have? You put 8 in the box and jam Cortland Sutton at the line, I'm throwing a fade. Teddy Bridgewater can loop a fade 40 yards downfield and let somebody run under it, okay? He's going to run himself open. I get single coverage on Sutton on the outside, I'm going to take a shot. You know who else is going to run by safeties, and I can just loop it 40, 50 yards down the field on a 3-step drop? KJ Hamler. You've got speed right there. Now let's talk about Noah Fant. In real quick on a quick turn. You jam the line of scrimmage. He gets in behind this, a 7-yard hook pattern in behind the linebackers that are going. Now I've got 260 pounds running wild against my 215-pound safeties. Yep. So the arm talent doesn't scare me, because if you're going to jam the box, it's not about how far you can throw on a laser. Then it just becomes, can I run the ball to beat that? Because if I break through that and you're jamming it, it's 15 yards minimum. And 2, I've got receivers all over the place that can get behind guys, or at least in single coverage are going to be open because they're bigger than your defensive backs. So the weapons that are available to Teddy Bridgewater should be able to negate any fears you have of jamming the line of scrimmage on this, because I can just start fading you to death at worst. I wanted to hit a couple guys coming in on Facebook, some supporters, some stars coming in. Peter's coming in again. So, which first-team player gets replaced other than Cushenberry? Is Miners pushing him enough to talk about him, starting at center, or is there somebody else on the team that you could say, okay, maybe we need to move Glasgow to center? Can you do that and then move Miners over into a guard position?
I think it sounds like you'd probably put Moody at right guard. He's the guy they've raved about him in camp. This team is, they're looking to get more push in the run game. They might live with Moody's inconsistencies in the pass protection and slide Glasgow over to guard or center. I do not think that you're going to see Miners this year, except unless the season's lost and you have 3 weeks left.
So other than Cush, what are we thinking of? Unfortunately, I might start worrying about injuries as much as anything. KJ Hamler's dodgy hamstring, Noah Fant and Bradley Chubb's ankles. Those type of things are the things that worry me. And, Surtan's going to play starter snaps. So, calling him a starter, you could say you're going out there in a 3-4, and then they run out there and there's 5 defensive backs right away. So all of that. But for me, injury is going to tell the tale on this. And that's not something I want to try and predict, even though I just did. Announcers say we don't want to speculate, but it sure looks like he just blew out his knee. Like, well, he just speculated, So, but that's the question. James is in here too. James, do you see? Appreciate James. Appreciate you coming in here with the stars on Facebook. Do you see the Giants defense attacking our perceived weakness, interior offensive line? Nick, I think you've got a pretty cut and dry answer for this one.
Yeah, of course. I am curious to see how much schematically they're going to attack that line. Last year, Cushenberry and Locke both struggled with the being on the same page when it came to more exotic looks, the A-gap rushers kind of stuff. So we're going to see if that improves this season, hopefully with Teddy Bridgewater's experience in the game and also intelligence, that won't be as much of an issue where it's put on those young players' shoulders as much. But it's definitely an area where they're going to attack. That being said, Giants are so strong at the defensive tackle position that do they have to do anything different to attack it, or just let your horses play? Know that we can do other things to cover up concerns on this team, because we know that with our two defensive tackles, they're going to win more times than not. So we don't have to do anything extra to attack that weakness.
Yeah, you can take your inside linebackers and gamble on the tackles a little bit more. I know I can cheat to the outside to guard against the outside runs, the off tackle runs, because I know they're not coming up the middle on me. Now, if you do, and if you keep pounding it, you will eventually get through. You got 20 yards. Then it becomes a big play because your linebackers are cheating outside. And by the time, you drag a safety an extra 5 yards, you've picked up 20. So it can be a little dangerous, but attacking the interior offensive line, watch the stunts and then watch the blitzes. If I take Leonard Williams and push him out, I can take two guys with me. Now the center's wide open. So that's where your running backs need to be able to pick up a blitz on the inside linebacker blitz or a delayed safety blitz. Yeah. So that's someplace to keep an eye on it, because Leonard's going to in that type of situation, Leonard's going to occupy two guys.
Yep. Man, or maybe Dexter Lawrence as well. He's a big boy. Back to the question earlier, who might be replaced first of the starters? I think there's a chance. Also, I hinted at it a little bit with going from the offensive line to more of the safe guys that are pass blocking well to more of the power guys. Bobby Massey is definitely better in pass protection, no doubt. But if you really feel like you need to lean into the running game, being the identity and living maybe with a little bit less pass blocking, and you trust Teddy to protect himself and protect the ball with that, I guess you could see Bobby Massey being switched for Calvin Anderson, who had way more ass whipping reps at the offensive line, where he just buried guys. Still needs some work in pass protection, but winning at the point of attack more than Massey was. So that's one that sticks out to me. You could see a switch there. The other one is one of the linebackers. They talked very highly about Justin Strnad in this offseason. He got a lot of reps especially in pass protection or pass game against the pass. And I guess you could see if they're we're doing fine against the run, or we're going to live with the run, but we need to get better pass coverage out there. You could see one of those linebackers taken off the field for Justin Strnad. And if we're going to take anything from that week 3 preseason game, it does seem like Alexander Johnson would be the one that would be taken off the field there. But that's one where it's really close between Josie Jewell and Alexander Johnson, which one would be taken off the field, if at all. So those are the ones that stand out to me. I don't think anybody else. I mean, could you say that Patrick Surtain playing so well that he kicks Darby into slot sometimes as beating out Darby? I mean, I wouldn't, right? You're still playing that many cornerbacks anyway, so that one doesn't really stick out to me. But that's it for me on top of my head.
All right. Well, I wanted to. I'm getting some comments from DVA. I wanted to rebut on some of these things, on some of the comments I made earlier. So Teddy doesn't have the arm strength to take advantage of handler's speed. He just doesn't put much zip on the ball, unfortunately. The comment I made earlier was about beating a stacked box. So it wasn't necessarily about trying to zip it into. If I'm rushing 4 or worse, I got 3 in coverage, and I'm rushing 3 and I'm dropping 8 in coverage. That's when the arm strength that's when it tells, because you've got to be able to find tighter windows. If I've got 9 in the box, I don't need to put any zip on the ball. A looping 40-yard floater is exactly what I need in order to get behind those guys. So the comment I was talking about beating those guys was in a press coverage, one-on-one, and then you're just throwing fades. You're throwing nice, easy post patterns. When you've got more in coverage, nickel packages, dime packages, rushing 4, that's when the arm strength begins to tell on you a little bit. And that'll be part of the game plan of getting rid of the ball quickly, in 1st and 10s, and trying to keep the yardage, the down and distance manageable, because you don't want to see a 4-man rush with Leonard Williams, and you need 3rd and 12. You don't want to give Leonard Williams a chance on a 5-step drop, 7-step drop. That's when you're in trouble. But if they start stacking the box with 9 in the box, the weapons at Teddy's disposal are perfectly suited for his ability to drop accurate balls right over the top of that defense.
Yeah, nope, you're totally correct. Where it does get a little bit hairy, in my opinion, is when the back of the end zone starts becoming a defender. That's when the box numbers totally.
It's because you've got less space.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's when you're space. So when you're trying to fit it into windows is when you're a little bit more worried about it, and that's when your big receivers. It's said it a zillion times. One of my biases is big receivers. You can throw them; they're open. They're automatically open. That's when I can start going for height and worrying about my guys. Basically getting rebounds instead of trying to find an open window in the back of the end zone.
Yep, and that's the point where you need your offensive line not to stalemate anymore. You need them to get some wins up front, because the boxes are going to be packed. I mean, you could have the strongest arm quarterback ever. The boxes are going to be packed in the red zone. That's just what they do.
If you can't stop me running the ball, you can't stop me in the red zone.
Yep, exactly. And man, Javonte Williams, seeing him navigate space like he does, press the line and then kick out, and the vision that he had, the balance, he is going to be. People might freak out about the Teddy Bridgewater's touchdown numbers this year. I think they'll be fine. But when you get in the red zone, watching those two running backs, they're fighting for yards. Hopefully the offensive line will continue to improve and gel. I'm not going to freak out about Teddy Bridgewater's touchdown numbers, because if they're scoring touchdowns by him turning around and handing it off, it's the same result to me. I don't care if he's throwing it or handing it off. Get across the goal line. There's
a very, very famous saying from one of your rivals about what the outcome of the game should be. And I'm not going to repeat it here to piss off any Broncos fans, but it has to do with just win.
Yep. Yeah. Did you see there was a poll that came out or something about, they took an algorithm of the most negative social media comments and whatever, and the most hated team in all of American sports, and the Raiders were 2 times as much hated as every other team.
Surprised the Yankees aren't up there too. But I always respected the Yankees. Because living down here in the South, it's full of carpet bagging Yankees. And growing up in the 80s with teams that weren't very good, you'd go to a Braves game or a Hawks game or something, and it was 90% New York Mets fans. So I always hated the Mets, 1, because they were National League, and 2, because they didn't win anything but always acted like they did. I'm like, y'all aren't the Yankees, so just stop. Anyway, but the Yankees, usually the team, I also like the phrase loved, hated, but never ignored. It's okay to be hated. That means you're probably doing something right in sports if everybody's out to get you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I see some people saying, nice comment, Jake. I don't see it. Good idea, Jake. I like it, man.
Should the first play of the game, sorry, I can click on this.
There we go.
Sorry, should the first play of the game just be a deep bomb on KJ to put the defense on notice? Come out swinging. Make them respect the fact that we will get behind you. It's not a bad idea, for sure.
Yeah, what's for me the most devastating? This is just playing football or seeing the other team do things. The most devastating for me is to come out of the gate and have the other team hit you with a power run that goes for 20, 25 yards, because it's like, oh, blank, here we go. Because we're already, if you give a big haymaker run right away, it's like, well, God, what did we do?
Well, we were talking last night. Some of the conversation was about play action being such a weapon, and how Drew Lock came out and ran the play action so well against Minnesota. What were the first 2 plays of that game? Do you remember?
Big runs.
Big runs. They're like two 12 years. They ripped off. I think Javonte Williams came off and ripped off 2 first down runs for 12, 15 yards.
Yep.
Mike, when you start hitting 12 yards on first down, play action is going to be real easy. I promise you that.
Yep. And it does take effective running game. It does take execution in that, which is easier said than done, especially now that they're not going to be playing backups. You're going to have some real trench monsters coming up here this season. The Broncos, actually, they've played some pretty good, formidable defensive fronts this year. But if you can do that and then come out in that second drive and hit them with, okay, well, here they go again. They're going to start punching us again. Play action bomb on that second drive. That's when, you have a really good shot. I feel like a lot of teams are prepared for that deep shot on that first play. So personally, maybe this is just Kirk Ferentz rubbing off on me. just that boring football. But if you come out and you are executing in the run game and punching them in the mouth and just physically dominating them, especially with how this team's defense is built, that can win you some games and kind of set the tone there. So I've all offseason screaming about quarterback, pass game. I mean, that's the way to win in today's NFL, but you got to deal with how the team is built right now. And this is a team that if they're going to be great this year, it's defense and run game. And for one season, you can do that. So this is going to be a good game. This is going to be a real telling game for how good that Broncos offense can be. I'm not going to freak out if they struggle because this is a good Giants team as well. But if they come out here and at least look competent, I really do think this team could go pretty far. This is a good measuring stick game. The Broncos need to look like they belong. I feel like there's been too many games where it's like early season, we expect them to come out and do something or look good, and they just look like they're not prepared. They're not on the same page. It's week one, and they don't look like they're totally in it, kind of going through the motions. That better not be the case. They need to come into this game
that's a statement about your head coach.
Yeah,
I've said it before, maybe just because I've been so much more into evaluation, but to me, the general manager is more important than the coach. Your front office and getting the right players. Yeah. There's a the old saying, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmys and the Joes. When the players when you're not playing for your coach anymore, he's gone. That's when you've lost the team. And as long as you feel like they're still going out there and giving everything they've got, then the coach is usually in pretty good shape despite the results. But if the results keep going bad, then they eventually just give up. Going back to the comment about the Raiders, and Peter says they haven't won anything in the last 15, 20 years. So that's why I was surprised that they were still the most hated. I'm like, who cares? The Raiders haven't been relevant in a lot of people's lifetimes. So it's been a long time. I was surprised that Nick said they were still so disliked because, man, who cares about the Raiders?
Ah, man, I really just don't like them one bit.
No, I understand the local rivalries, but from a national perspective, they're not anything. They haven't been anything in 20 years.
Yeah. Nigel Watts saying hi from Perth, Western Australia. Perth, from my understanding, one of the hotter places in that country. So Northwest.
I've been there. I've been to Perth.
You've been to Perth?
Mm-hmm.
What were you doing?
I have.
Personal?
Australia is, I think it was 2004. I was in Australia. Awesome. Loved it. Everybody was so friendly, and the country obviously is just wonderful. So good times. Would like to get back. It's hard to get to Australia. That's not an easy trip. That's a 2-day journey.
Yeah, no, that's a long way. Want to get out there at some point. I had a bunch of buddies go over there during college and came back saying it was a good time. A lot of places.
And getting back to your comments on the Giants, this is a team that Denver needs to win. They need to beat. Unless it's tough to tell exactly what you've got, but Denver should be considerably better than they were last year, purely based on who's back from injury. How much better are the Giants going to be if Saquon Barkley is back? That's a big boost for sure. But they weren't very good last year, period. How much better are they going to be? This is a game. If Denver's going to go on and be a playoff contender, I'm not going to, throw in the towel after one game if they don't win, but they need to win this game.
They have to. I mean, like I've been saying, there's no such thing as a do or die week one game. This is a do or die week one game, especially with how the rest of the season plays out. The Broncos need to come out of these first 4 games 3-1. And if you go out in the whole 0-1, you might as well just blast that into the sun because you have some real tough games coming out after that. Like the season opens up really well for you to get your footing on offense, to get the defense really rolling and formidable and confident also. So this is a game that they need to come out. They need to come out with high energy, something that you have not seen. That's honestly, one of my biggest critiques of Vic Fangio. He is very much the mindful coach, the brains coach, whatever, but there's just, the team doesn't come out and they're not playing like their hair is on fire. They're not angry. They're not juiced up. A lot of people point back to there was a combined practice, Vic Fangio's first year, where it was the 49ers versus the Broncos, and the Broncos are just kind of quiet, going through the motions. 49ers are playing rap music and just like going absolutely nuts, loving each other, having fun. And the Broncos came out in that joint practice and got punched in the mouth repeatedly, just absolutely just blown off the ball. And these teams, sometimes they start a little bit flat. I just feel like the energy's low. I think Vic Fangio, he gets a lot of blame for bad quarterback play. And also the cornerbacks last year as well. Like, oh, why is Vic not running his scheme as much? Why is he running so much man? He's playing safeties at cornerback off the street. Like, the simplest coverage is man. That's what you kind of have to do when you're that far down the depth chart. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to actually setting tone and energy and getting guys tuned in, haven't seen that yet. And that has to be the case early this season because his job is on the line.
Talking about, taking your lead from the coach, there's a line between, too much emotion and just being flat, and as a fan, there's a feeling sometimes it's like, man, these guys don't care. Why should I? So you start losing the fan base a little bit too when you're not playing with any emotion. The business-like approach is nice, but we're not out there for a business meeting. We're out there for raw emotion of football. So again, and you can tell, there's two ways to tell when a coach is really in trouble. One, when the team didn't play anymore, and two, when the local beat writers start writing bad things about them because they know they're not going to have to worry about that relationship anymore. That's two real easy giveaways when the media starts talking poorly. That guy's in big trouble. Otherwise, they keep it to themselves because they know that they're going to have to face this guy in the media rooms for the next year.
Yep. No, absolutely. We'll see what happens. Jeremy coming back in I didn't see if he corrected us how to say his name, so I'm just going to say McLovin. Jeremy McLovin coming in here. The special teams look terrible again. How long can you continue to blame it on depth players before Todd McMahon gets canned? Todd McMahon should be canned, but the issue is, and I was talking to Andrew Mason about this. Like, what's going on with Todd McMahon? Why would he still be here? And he said that the big issue with sorry if you heard that, it's my dog at the door. No special teams coach is going to want to come in here, knowing that you might get a cleaning of the house a year after. So you're probably rolling with Todd McMahon because it's going to be hard to bring in any special teams of value or somebody you'd want, knowing that they have almost zero job security with just 1 year to prove it. So that's why Todd McMahon's probably still here.
Yeah, you've got a good point on that. It's a nomadic profession anyway.
Yeah.
But and unless you're coming out of college or it's your first job and you just want it on the resume, it's tough to come in there and say, well, maybe I'll apply for that job next season.
Yeah.
Let's take a wait and see approach.
Yep. It's just not very good job security there. And a lot of guys making that jump probably looking for at least 2 years to get that done. So Jeremy coming in saying, again, Jeremy, how do you say your last name? I'll sign that petition. How demoralizing for the defense to see the punt team consistently bow coverage and put them in unfavorable field position. I mean, it's that. It's also turnovers. I mean, the defense last year, I think they had far and away the worst starting field position of any team in football. And part of that special teams, part of that is stupid, costly turnovers in areas where you should not be turning the ball over. So it's going to be, that will be better this year. And again, punting is winning. If you can actually have good punt coverage and make the team consistently march the ball down the football field, good things can happen for you. I think that's one of the things we like about this Denver defense, right? They'll give up some yards. They're not giving up chunk plays, and they're really flexing in the red zone. And the NFL, it's so hard to coordinate play after play to execute and not get behind the count, not get a false start that's going to put you behind the chains and march those 9-10 play drives down the field and score touchdown.
I'm looking at net punting for 2020, and again, damn lies, and statistics. And Denver was right middle of the pack. They weren't terrible. So what was the key that shed some light on why it felt like it was worse than the statistics might say they are?
Sam Martin was a good punter, a fine punter. So it's not just the specialists themselves, it's the guys covering the kicks. And Sam was doing a lot where you were seeing a good amount of fair catches and whatnot, or putting them, back in the between the 20 and the 10. But when he'd have to put a little bit more air on it, boot it farther, and put it on those coverage units, that's when things got a little sketchy. So that's what's the concern with the special teams. And it's not specifically the punt units as well, it's the kickoff units. So those coverage units got to be better. They were too prone to giving up big plays and also bad timing with big plays as well. It's like right when okay, this game is close, we're making a little bit of a comeback here, or we're starting to pull away, and boom, the other team would make a big play on special teams.
I'd be interested in some of the splits on that with road and away. I mean, could booting the ball at mile high have any effect on coverage? I mean, it's going to be a little farther. We're all familiar with the phrase out kicking your coverage. Yeah, me too.
Right here.
21-year anniversary. Marry over your head. Little life advice from Scott. Marry over your head. It makes you want to be a better man.
Mm-hmm.
So, but are you, is there any of that could be involved where you're just like, oh, he hit it 55 yards, but we're not covering it because he's out kicking his coverage. Did that feel like the case at all? I mean, the directional punting's big, but like I said, there's statistics, but then you've got to quantify that and qualify that with what you're actually seeing to make an informed decision. Right now, I only know half the picture because I didn't watch much of Denver last year.
Yep. No, absolutely. We'll find out this year, right? You're going to be close eye on it this season, so it'll be interesting to get the organic take as they evolve, as you're watching more of these games. Earl Thompson coming in saying, "Hey, Nick and Scott, how are you guys today? I'm tired, but I'm good. The coffee's starting to kick in. The game is going to be such a delight for our Broncos to win. Javonte Williams and Patrick Surtain is who we are excited for. A lot of other people too, but good to be excited about those rookies getting out there. Jerry Jeudy and his route running is phenomenal. What's your prediction for the score of the game? Go Broncos." I think we'll probably save that for Thursday as we're getting out of here because some new information might come to light.
Earl's not here. This could hit me up on Twitter. I'll give you a prediction.
Oh, see, that's Scott. It's showbiz. You got to give them it's the bait.
Yeah, but
so you put it on the hook.
Instant gratification, man. We'll go through it again too for sure.
Yeah.
Besides, I'll change my score on Thursday.
I also want to see if the line changes at all, because I'm not only going to give you the score, I'm going to tell you what I think about the spread. The over-under as well. So, guys, that's probably going to have to do it for us today. Scott, before we get on out of here, did you catch any college games? Anybody catch your eye in the college sphere this week?
I watched several. I watched Spencer Rattler a little bit, and the arm talent is undeniable.
A lot of Julock there with the what are you doing plays.
he didn't have a great game, but the arm talent there is unbelievable. I watched Auburn and Bo Nix. His numbers were phenomenal against Akron, but I actually worried a little bit about his accuracy, which is going to sound strange when looking at his numbers. He's like 26 of 28. It's like, Kennedy, what the hell are you talking about accuracy? And for me, he's throwing to guys with nobody that was in 3 yards of his receivers.
Yeah.
And you want to see nice catches right here on 12-yard curls and stuff like this, and he's still making guys reach for him. You can't get away with that as you're moving forward. So nitpicking, now that's completely nitpicking on guys like, can he be a first-round type of guy? Maybe, but I'd still like to see hitting guys a little bit more in stride, in the right places, that type of thing, despite the fact that his accuracy numbers were incredible. Watched a little bit of Georgia Clemson. The quarterbacks there. I know you're real high on that, but they didn't get to show much.
He was getting beat up
most of the night on his back, but from Georgia's defense. So good time.
He's got to speed up that process too. A lot of that's on him, but he was being a little bit, I'm big and strong and have a big arm. I'm just going to stand back here. And that doesn't always work against a SEC front. Mr. McLeod. Scott nailed it.
Defensive backs coach, Pope High School, Mike McLeod. That's how he spelled his name.
Okay, there we go. I think there's a McLeod who plays safety for the Eagles as well, Ray McLeod. But God bless. We're going to get on out of here. I will say that I know Desmond Ridder had a big game. I wasn't exactly impressed with the types of throws he had to make, but he went out there and did, like you like to say, and I like this a lot, he answered the questions that were asked. Nothing too crazy asked, but the quarterback who stood out the most to me this week, Matt Corral, is super twitched up, and he's a lot of fun, a lot of tools, but he's got to clean up that decision making. And I thought Carson Strong had a heck of a game against the Cal Bears. He had 2 of the best throws this week, so pretty great. Oh, and Peter had some questions asking about, or sent some stars asking about Scott's channel. So
I can't. I'm looking at it on Facebook, but I can't see it right now. But the question is, what's going on my channel? And frankly, I'm going to put Nick on the spot right here in front of everybody. I need a partner. I need somebody to do stuff with on my channel. So maybe we can pressure Nick into doing some draft stuff. Mm-hmm. Maybe doing some Falcons crossover the way I do with Denver Broncos. Mm-hmm. I've already cleared it with the boss man, so Chad said it was okay. But it might be tough for him to get up, but we can work around his schedule. Nick actually does other stuff, important work, besides, not that this isn't important, but like really important. So it might be a little tough, but gonna do a Falcons Eagles preview on that, trying to get a former colleague, and I'm trying to get one of our former colleagues for Thursday for the New York Giants, so we can preview the game on Thursday when we're back. Appreciate you, Peter.
Yeah, thank you very much, Peter, for being so supportive. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. That's going to have to do it for us because I got to get running. But Broncos for breakfast. We'll see you guys again Thursday morning. You can follow Scott and myself on Twitter, Scott at Scout Kennedy, and myself at Nick Kendell MHH. Also, make sure you're following us at Mile High Huddle and at Huddle Up Pod. Go to huddleuppod.com, get your swag on, get the hat on. That's all good stuff there. Go to Facebook also. Thank you for everybody for giving the stars today. If you couldn't do that, though, make sure you're joining us on our Facebook groups, facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. If you guys are joining us on YouTube today, please subscribe, like, and share. That helps us a lot. And there's a lot of good content out there in the Broncos sphere. But we like to think that we're number one, and you guys can help us spread the good news, spread the Broncos good vibes out there if you can join us on Facebook and like, subscribe, and share on YouTube. While you guys are on YouTube, also make sure you go to Scott's channel, youtube.com/C/Scott Kennedy. You can click the link here. I got it up here on Facebook, got it on YouTube, Twitch, Periscope. Click that. That'll take you to Scott's channel as well. So, Scott, I think I'll see you again on Thursday. Anything I
might see you before then, actually. You can't get rid of me these days.
There's a knock at my door. Okay. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you soon. Everyone stay safe. Enjoy your, most people out there, short week. It's already Tuesday. It's a Monday, the most Monday, Tuesday we're going to have, but that's okay. But we'll see you guys soon. Until then, go Broncos.